Welcome back to the Wizard Shop, and on today's edition of the Car Wizard Shop, we're going to talk about a bunch of bull stuff right after this. This is Hoovies' 2006 Lamborghini Murcielago. Many of you guys have probably already seen this car in some of his videos. You've seen it in this shop in his videos. We're going to talk today about some of the trials and tribulations I've been through to be able to just connect a computer to this thing and talk about it. And we're also going to talk about a game plan of what we're going to do with this car. This car, when it was new back in 2006, was pretty much a $300,000 car. Very, very expensive. It has the 6.2 liter V12 that puts out 571 horsepower and 479 pounds of torque. It is very, very fast and very fun to drive. It's also all-wheel drive, which means good traction for all that power to make it to the road. It's a very cool looking car. It's really wide. If you've seen in a previous video, I actually drove Tavares's Fast and Furious Lamborghini Murcielago, just like this one, from Orlando up to Concours d'Elegance. And I found something really interesting. It's wide. Yeah, I kept finding myself on either line of the road. It was kind of hard to keep centered. It's very, very wide. I almost think it's wider than a truck. In fact, it's so wide, I'm going to compare this to the 73 Chevy truck that's beside the Lamborghini right now, Euro-Asian Bob's truck. Let's measure the truck, and then let's measure this and compare. I'm going to need your help, Mrs. Wizard, on this one.
There you go. Open the wheel well.
80 inches wide, which is basically 6.5 feet. Let's move back here at the widest point. Almost 84 inches, 7 feet wide in the back. So as you've seen by measuring it, this thing's a full 6 inches wider than a 3/4 ton truck. It's like a flat pancake, guys. It's like a wide, flat pancake. It's really interesting. But let's go into the actual computer portion of this. As you've seen on the last Ferrari video we did, we used a computer to find out the codes on that particular issue. But on this car, we need a computer not so much to read codes, but to do recalibration when we put the new clutch in, to make sure that the E-gear is working, run it through all its paces. And those are things you're not going to find on an aftermarket scan tool. One thing that Hoovie told me, that before I'm allowed to pull the motor on this car, I have to prove to him that I can recalibrate it, do all the things that need to be done computer-wise with this transmission swap. And until I could prove that, there's no reason for me to even tear it apart. And I agreed with him. Let me show you some of the crazy things I went through to try to do this without spending thousands of dollars. So initially I purchased this Chinese clone of the Actia XS Basic interface, and I thought this will allow me to connect from a computer to this Lamborghini. And I acquired a copy of Lara, which is a software used, actual dealer software used to calibrate and do all the things we need to do. So I thought, I'm good to go. I got this set up. And it would never speak to it. It would never work. It would never connect. And I finally did some research and found that the true connection used to operate this Lamborghini recalibration software and all the different things only uses RS-232 connection. The official dealer cables and interfaces do not use USB on this car. It won't even work. It has to be RS-232. The software is designed to use this port only. So I said, okay, no problem. I'll just hook it up. I started looking and looking, and I was like, well, there's a VGA connector, but there's no RS-232 on this. So I wasted my money on that computer. It's useless. Well, it's not useless. I'll use it in the shop somewhere. So I got my Mercedes computer. This is actually Hoovies as well. It has official Mercedes software on it, the Star Diagnostics. And it has an RS-232 port right here. So I tried that cable, I tried various different other cables, and I really started studying this chart right here. This is official Lamborghini chart that shows exactly what you need to do every operation on any Lamborghini. And I started looking and I was like, wow, this little interface that I need is a K-line adapter. It has a little switch on it, and there's probably software or firmware as it is inside of this little box, and I don't have that. So I said, well, I'll try to pin out my own K-line adapter with this diagram here. I thought, well, I'll make my own cable then. And I tried that. It didn't work. Tavares even let me borrow some cables. Those didn't work. I hit a brick wall at least 20 times, guys. And I finally accepted that Lamborghini has this thing locked down pretty tight. They do not want you messing with this unless you have the official cables and the official software. I finally realized there is no other option. Me and Hoovie discussed it a little bit, and we decided to go in together and actually purchase the real deal. Let's take a look at that. I purchased this from Bull Stuff. It's actually an online website, J&J Concepts, out of Xenia, Ohio. As you can see on this receipt, me and Hoovie paid $7,500 for this setup. And you say, oh, that's a new computer. No, it's not. It's a used laptop out of a dealership. Some dealership that might have went under or who knows what. The cables are brand new. This is used. But this has LDAS32, it has Lara on it, it has the whole shebang as far as Lamborghini Gallardos, Diablos, and Murcielagos. That is what this setup is designed specifically to address, to do all the features, all the programming, everything you need to do on these models of cars. So that is taken care of. This has the RS-232 port on it. And one thing I discovered working on these cars is that their OBD2 ports between different models can have a completely different pinout. It doesn't match the standards. Just as you've seen here, here's the OBD2 cable that hooks this true Actia Basic XS. This is the real deal with the Lamborghini firmware on it. The Chinese clone one that I purchased did not have the Lamborghini firmware. This has the real firmware on it. All these cables I'm going to show you connect to this unit here. And as you can see, this cable is only for 04 to 08 Gallardo. This cable is 2009 and up Gallardo. The one that I'm currently using, Murcielago, Lara AS, and ABS airbag. There's one more cable here I'll show you here in a minute, but I want to explain something to you guys. There's so many different cables and so many different setups on this. You're not going to buy one little cable off of eBay from China somewhere and say, oh, I can just work on all these cars now. They have really got this locked down, guys. If you don't have the exact right cable, the exact right connections, you're out of luck. It's not going to work. You typically find this on some of these exotic cars. They just don't want anybody messing with this stuff. They only want the dealerships working on it. But there is some aftermarket options by buying dealership computers, dealership connectors, and cables and things of that nature. But they don't want aftermarket scan tools really doing much on these models here. I have a computer that the Autel tool can read codes, like engine codes and things. The basic O2 sensor goes bad, or airflow sensor, things of that nature. But if you want to go any deeper than that, this is the only way. I guarantee you this is the only way. Most everything on this car except for the engine uses the old K-line adapter, which is used in Japanese cars for airbags and ABS, things like that. They use that to run the E-gear on here, the K-line, if you want to diagnose it. The cable I mentioned just a little bit ago had a switch on it. This is an RS-232 connection, a serial port. And that plugs directly into the laptop, directly into the 232 port. The other end has the OBD2 connectors I just showed you. As you can see, this is the official Lamborghini airbag ABS interface. It even has a switch, ABS or airbag. There is firmware and things going on inside this little box that makes any other options undoable. You can't, there's no other way. Without this box, you're done. You might as well hang it up. You can spend 6 years trying to find a workaround. This is it, guys. So I've used this software and this setup and it works. I've connected to this car and I did a snap test of the clutch and I found some interesting information. Typically 5.6 to 6 millimeters of wear on the clutch is the maximum you want on these, and they start slipping. It's when it starts slipping on you under power. Hoovies Murcielago has 11 millimeters of wear. It's like minus 50% used up. I don't even know how he drove it here. I don't even know how it's even able to drive, but somehow it is. And he did say under load it's slipping really bad on him, especially in 6th gear when he tries to get on it. The RPMs just shoot up, it slips really bad. But using this software I was able to do a snap test and I found out not only is his transmission destroyed like you see in the previous video that Hoovie did, his clutch is completely just done. But we have all new parts, all new things here. We're going to go over that here in a minute. We have a Kevlar clutch, upgraded pressure plate and things of that nature, and we have a good used transmission. First gear in this car is basically teeth laying in the bottom of the transmission. If you watch his video, you'll see he tries to take off in first gear. It makes grinding noises and all kinds of horrible sounds. And that's the teeth, what's left of the teeth grinding away. When we drained the oil out of this transmission, there was teeth that were coming out. It was like I was a dentist pulling teeth. There was just teeth coming out. It was horrific. So we know the transmission has to be replaced with either a good used one or a new one, and we went the used route, and it needs a clutch. A lot of those things can be found out as far as the clutch is concerned without this computer. You know that it's slipping, it's time for a clutch. But you can't just put a new clutch in here and be done. The computer has adapted itself to that worn down thin little clutch, and if you put a brand new one in, it will just burn it up. You have to get in here and recalibrate it and reset the kiss point of the clutch. That's what it's called. That way it can start from there and work its way and adapt as it needs to. If you don't do that recalibration, you'll destroy the new clutch. Let's go take a look at the new clutch kit and then we'll move over to the transmission. So here's a kit that Tyler ordered, Hoovie, and had sent here. It comes with an upgraded pressure plate. The Kevlar clutch disc is already inside of here. You have to disassemble it. But it's supposed to last much, much longer than the standard clutch disc. It has a rear main seal, there's a pilot bearing, there's a relay, here's a clamp to hold this pump, here's a brand new E-gear pump, and this is a sensor to replace the old one. But here we have the complete kit to do the clutch portion of the job, but that doesn't fix first gear that has teeth laying in the bottom of the transmission. In order to address that issue, I have a good used transmission for that. Let's go take a look at that. This is the transmission that's going to replace his broken one. Can that one be rebuilt? Yes, it could, for probably twice the price of this used one. This here came out of a wrecked 11,000 mile Murcielago. It's a very good transmission. It's guaranteed to be good. This is a manual transmission. You say, well, Wizard, this is an E-gear car. I know that. It's exactly correct. The manual transmission and the E-gear transmission is the same thing. It doesn't matter. Either or. This will do either or. The difference is the E-gear doesn't have the manual stick shift. It has a bunch of servos and electronics that do the shifting for you. That's it. Same thing on an F1 transmission. Same thing on the Aston Martin Vanquish that we had in here. It's a manual transmission with electronics that do the shifting for you. When you click the paddle, either way, all it does is put it in gear for you, just like a stick shift. We're going to have to pull the entire engine out, pull the transmission out, do the clutch job, and then swap over the E-gear components onto this transmission, and then move into reassembly. We're going to be doing some videos of that as we get it torn down and maybe some things we might find along the way. But I just wanted to show you guys why it's here, what our plans are, some of the steps along the way that we had to take just to get to this point to be able to work on it. So, let's go back over to the car and finish up. Well, I thought you guys would like to follow along on what it took to get to this point and where we're going to go from here. I want to thank you guys for your views. Every day this week I've been waking up, I read the news, and it just gets scarier and scarier. Hopefully these videos I've been doing, I've been adding a few videos each week to help you guys take your mind off this. Some of you are in lockdown, you'll have something to do besides just stare at the walls. The comments have been really good. I can tell you guys are enjoying the content. It's helping you alleviate some of the stresses that you're going through. And I'm going through them too, guys, just like you are. Maybe some of this will help me keep my mind off of it. Luckily, cars don't transmit coronavirus, so I don't have to worry about social distancing with them. If there's any tools that I've used in previous videos, or you want to know what kind of tools I use, check my Amazon affiliates page in the link below. I also write for Auto Trader, Oversteer. If you want to head on over there in the link below, you can read some of my articles and some videos I do for them over there. And we got many more cool videos to come, guys. Thanks for watching.